Hello. I had a interesting evening last night. I don't know how many of you watched the Archaix presentation on the closing ceremony of the 2012 Olympics, but if you haven't seen it, I would recommend, well, first off watch the opening ceremony and then watch the explanation of the closing ceremony, because as the narrator in the opening and closing ceremony says that it basically repeats the same lines and saying it's all a dream and there is nothing to fear. I won't go into any more details, but it's quite mind-blowing, definitely worth watching. Also, it came up on the home page. It was a James True video from 4 years ago about the American Civil War. I would seriously recommend watching that, and you'll get a very good idea as to why you have this story of the history given and how far removed that it actually is from the truth of what was really going on. And the big question, certainly Jason has asked it on videos, and I should imagine most of you have asked this question, why? Well, let's examine why. So we take the 3 letters. It's interesting, it's something before the age of 7, what is known as the terrible twos, most children will go through, or they will just repeatedly keep asking why. It becomes a sort of game in which the guardian or parents or whoever it is, possibly even a teacher in school, will basically get to a point where they can't answer the question and say, because I said so, which obviously is not an answer. So let's consider that first character, that first letter, the so-called W, which is actually a double V. Its mirrored counterpart is the M. Of course, if you were to string a line of M's and W's together, you get basically what is shown on the heart monitor. It's the sine wave. So the W is the mirror of the M. So for example, if we have a question, where are we? Well, remove the W and you'll find that you are here. The W symbolically is like a magic symbol. It references this realm that we're in. It's a double V. You've not just fell into 5 senses of a material world, you've fallen into a world of duality and many illusions. Right in the middle of that word why in that question is the letter H. That, as I've said, is, if you think of it as like an 11, and it has a central horizontal bridge. It represents the splitting of the cells, the regeneration, you could say. So you've got something that's a magical illusion expressed in a human form, which then leads us to that third letter. The Y, in its capital form, consists basically of a lowercase I without the dot on the top, and then a lowercase v sitting on top of it. Can you think of any symbolic representation of Y that is pretty much seen everywhere? I would suggest if you were to put nails through the wrists or through the hands, with the arms outstretched and then the weight of the body and the head sort of fallen down, it actually forms like a Y shape. So why? Well, if we take the W, that magical symbol, away, we're left with hi, like a greeting, because you found who you are. So when you see through the magic and go through this human experience, it then comes, the outcome of it is to rise above your crucifix, your cross, your belief system, what you have nailed yourself to. That is the reason why. Effectively, you've come into a game that is so convincing that some have got stuck in the game. The whole purpose of the game is to find out why, and out of the why you find out who you are, and then that answers as to why this is happening. If you can imagine the scenario from being outside of this construct, you'd be saying something like, what a fantastic game, I've got to go in again. And there are those that have come into the game and got lost in the game. And it is a game, and it's very prevalent, or has been very prevalent in the last few weeks, with the Olympic ceremony. What you have there is the Olympians putting on the displays. And while that is going on, there has also been a theme running, particularly in the UK and Ireland, of Clash of the Titans. To understand what are the Titans, this is from the perspective of the Olympians. So Titans are no different from any other human or something that looks human, same size. But a Titan, you could say, is like a god. So it's a message for the Titans that is being shown. Like in that opening and closing ceremony, there is nothing for you to fear, it's just a dream. What we're going through now is a period for you to recognize who you truly are, why you are here, the whole purpose of being here. It's just an experience, something that you take from going through this experience, which will then lead on to greater things. So I hope that answers the real question that everybody wants the answer to: why? It goes back, basically, it's an age-old story of the Olympians rising up and stealing from the Titans. And we've now come full circle, so the Titans are back, mixed in with humanity. This is the whole purpose of the registering, the getting you in the system, the filtering through the education system and then through university. The system is trying to find out and identify who the Titans are amongst the general population. Things won't become visually or readily apparent until after 2040. As I said before, some of you are asking, what is your purpose? Well, with coming events, you're already on your path, you will find out what your purpose is. It comes back to that analogy I gave of a situation like war can bring out the very best, the hidden strengths in people. Well, this is the same sort of thing. You'll be put in situations, and then you will find this new you comes out. Incidentally, despite it being so hot, the last, today and yesterday, I've actually been really productive and sort of not gone mad and overdone it, but just plodded along and actually made some progress. So I've got, hopefully you can see it there, a whole load of bamboo ready to make more fencing. So there's some bits already stripped in the bucket there. So it's something I can do sitting in the cool. Don't know how well that shows there, but still got to sort out the where the plastic has gone brittle and shattered, but I have an idea for that. The water situation has now been resolved. We've got flowing water again. Still no return of Charis yet. We're in Mercury retrograde, and you'll get lots of talk of seeing it in a negative sense, but it isn't actually negative. It's a time for inward reflection. It's not a time for casting out. It's allowing the tide to come in with whatever it brings. And of course we're doing short-term projects such as this bamboo. So don't see it as something negative, just see it as a different chapter where, a bit like if you come back from doing a week's grocery shopping, you've got to unpack the bags. So all that you've gathered when it's not a Mercury retrograde, when it's a forward moving, then comes a time when you have to take stock, you have to reflect. No different from you breathe in and then you have to breathe out again. It's just a flow. So it's nothing, again, it comes back to that same message. There is nothing to fear. So wow, I just noticed that was 11:11 on the duration of this recording. So there are no coincidences. As a reminder of that, the definition of coincidence, when there is no apparent connection. Because there is no apparent connection in the material sense, but there is definitely a connection in the unseen. And a lot of what is unfolding will always start in the unseen. And of course, it seems that it is also being presented, but the whole message of the Olympic Games is not for humanity. It is a message for the Titans. In a sort of perverse way, it is actually trying to remind you of the story, remind you of the purpose, remind you of the big why question. It comes down to that sort of almost cliche saying, those that are meant to see it will see it, those that don't won't. You can probably relate to that if you've tried to wake someone up from the reality as purported by the media, for example, when the picture is very different. But even in that, it is all going on behind the scenes, which is an interpretation of, shall we say, of the negative polarity of things are always created in the unseen. So the system actually replicates the same thing. So we'll end that there, and I will say unconditional love to you all. Just as what has popped back into my mind again, did a beautiful 3-card tarot card reading, totally blind. I got asked, do I need any information? I said, well, you can either ask a specific question, or I can just do a reading and give you an interpretation of what the cards say, not knowing anything about the situation. And the message I got back was that it was spot on. So 3-card tarot card reading, I send you a photograph of the cards and I give you a voicemail explanation of what I see in those cards that's being expressed. So that's something that will help me and hopefully help you. Don't forget there's also Reiki healing, and I offer the befriending service. If you're struggling with depression, anxiety, panic attacks or paranoia, then do come and talk to me. So, as always, unconditional love to you all. A question I was asked as well, how much do I charge? Well, I don't actually charge anything. I ask for a minimum donation of either €5, £5 sterling or $5. If you're able to, then if you can give more, that's very much appreciated. If you can't, doesn't matter. It's reciprocal. I do gain and grow from the more I do the tarot card readings, as much as anything else. And it's beautiful when you get these fantastic readings that you can pass on to people, and hopefully it's made a difference to their lives, just from something like that. Right, so as always, unconditional love to you all.